Welcome to another episode of the Top Corner Podcast. Today's co-host is Julian. Julian, how are you doing today? I always say Julian, but it's actually Julian, whatever his name is.
That's fine. I really am. I'm genuinely concerned for my health. We're just gonna say that. It'll be okay until it's not. But I think this equipment, aside from the TV, is pretty portable.
Yeah.
So I think if you need to bring it into my hospital room, we can do that just fine, and we'll get a couple of episodes out before my demise, and then hopefully we can figure out a co-host for you to replace me when I'm in the ground.
Definitely.
So this was match day 2 of the Champions League.
League, yeah.
We're gonna kind of go through. There were 2 big matchups, and obviously the PSG Newcastle thing kind of came out of nowhere. Unexpected result, but we figured we would give a bit more of an analysis to the Napoli-Real Madrid game and then the Leipzig City game. But ultimately, we're just going to kind of go around the park here and look at the state of things after 2 match days. So,
yeah,
you going to kick it off?
Yeah, no problem. Napoli-Real Madrid, that was a pretty interesting game. Napoli. So Real Madrid has this problem where they always start a little bit sluggish, a little bit lazy, a little bit slow, and they don't often realize that. But I think that's really detrimental to the team itself and to their winning, And I feel like they could have not considered 2 goals if they had, at the beginning came in full swing and just try to be serious as much as possible, focus. That's really their problem. But one thing I loved about the game. So Bellingham, 20 years old, interesting that he has such level of comprehension of the way he plays.
Yeah.
For a 20-year-old, the way he moves off the ball, the way he understands spaces, the way he understands how to position himself, that's incredible coming from a 20 years old. And I'll tell you what, he had 1 goal, 1 assist, 94% pass accuracy in that game.
Yeah, wow.
4 key passes, 2 big chances created. He had 2 on 3 dribbles. He won 2. Duels won 6 on 8, 4 tackles, 2 interceptions. That was,
he's all over the place.
Yeah, and 9.3 or 9.2 rating, and he was the man of the match.
Well, and it's so weird watching, again, the age, 20 years old. He takes a lot of weird chances and liberties, and he never really seems to get burnt on anything. He's never completely out of position, despite, sometimes he'll take the ball pretty far up the pitch, despite needing to really sit back and help distribute. But he never seems to pay the price for anything that could go wrong by stepping that far out of position and being so free to move around.
I feel like it's because he understands, and that's why I think that he's so mature for his age and playing that like that, because I feel like he understands timing, positioning, and when to and good decision making. It's kind of like watching a little bit Zidane. I don't want to say something that's not
very early
on, but it's a little bit like that when you watch him play. It's like you see him doing these passes when it's supposed to. You see him taking these shots when he has to.
Yeah.
You see him passing when he has to. You see him having, like you said, the freedom of moving off and up and on, down the pitch
wherever he wants to go.
Yeah, and I feel like it's interesting because I think at Dortmund he was playing more of a 6, right?
Yeah, he absolutely was.
It's more you can tell how unlocking, like his talent at Real Madrid has been kind of unlocked day by day, and he's still growing because
they even bought him to play a 6. Like, that was the whole thing. It wasn't that they weren't open about saying, oh well, he's got this untapped potential. Like, they thought, we all kind of thought that we had him figured out at Dortmund, which isn't a bad thing. He's just a great player. He was a great number 6, young, full of energy, and they brought him in with that in mind.
Yeah.
Because they had their more attacking guys. They had Valverde, they had Camavinga, they had Tchouameni to kind of help sit back. But no, the idea of him being this kind of freewheeling, that was not a thing at Dortmund, and that was not even why he was brought into this club in the first place. And really, if you look at it, with the Kepa issue that led to the Østegård heading score in the I think 20th minute or so.
Yeah.
Bellingham, great goal from Vinny, opens his hips up, puts it in the opposite corner, but ultimately that was Bellingham's tackle.
Yeah.
Holding of the ball, and then that nice little clean through ball back out to Vinny. Like, good finish by Vinny, but that was all Bellingham. Like he did everything involved to get them right back in, and that momentum is definitely what shaped the fate overall of the matchup, because it was a pretty interesting matchup that first 20, 25 minutes or so until everything kind of falls apart. But that scoreline is more of what I expected. I did not expect it to be so open and competitive at times. I figured that Napoli would get in behind and score a couple of quick counters. Without Militao, without Alaba, not that he's even been playing the best, but really Nacho is not who you want as your center back. And I think that it kind of left him open a little bit, but also I think that Kepa had a couple of mistakes in him, despite still having a decent game overall.
Yeah.
Several big saves, but also he was almost 50-50 with the good and the bad being equally consequential to the side.
But so watching the game and every other game, week in, week out, there's this thing about penalties. Do we need to redefine what is a penalty and what is not a penalty? Because now I feel like every single week we have this weird errors, like the natural penalty given. I don't think that's a penalty. You can control your body when you have already taken an action. Yeah. In the middle of the action, you can control your body. I don't care unless you like some freaking Superman or something like that. And
Curtis Jones.
Something like that.
No, but I mean, this seems
because when he bounced back, he was sliding and he was on the floor.
Yeah.
There's no way he could have known, it's gonna hit my hand. Let me remove that. Then even if he had known that would create he would be unbalanced in that moment. So I don't think that was a penalty. I just don't think so.
I would agree with you. Yeah.
So that that's just me. But how about Camavinga?
So you love him.
I love him.
I know that you love him. And
Camavinga. Have you seen the memes?
No.
You didn't seen the memes?
No.
Man, that's the memes.
I'm not a social
part.
media guy. Like if I see anything on social media or any memes, like it's because
they're
sent to me.
I gotta send it. So the memes about Camavinga, he can play anywhere. You just gotta put him there.
Yeah. No, and like, look, I think that he kind of had a sloppy game, but it's interesting because he still makes up for it.
Yeah.
He had several fouls where if he was just a little bit more patient, with a little bit more kind of maturity and poise, he probably wouldn't have been in those positions. But then he'll turn around and he'll make a great pass in transition. But in the mistakes that he makes, most of the time, the overwhelming majority of the time, don't really lead to putting his team overall in bad positions.
Yeah.
It's usually something that's isolated on his wing that is easily made up by somebody else, or he can quickly come in and adjust the situation. But I noticed a couple of times, I think Politano gave him a little bit of trouble, and he dealt with some of it. He didn't quite deal with all of it very well, but he is all over the place in a good way, not an Upamecano out of position, but like his high energy makes up for some of the small mistakes that he makes, and he's very quick to rectify and make some good decisions as well.
But
do you agree with that assessment, or what do you think about
that? Probably I agree to disagree.
Yeah.
Now, just because the one thing we want to take in mind is he's not also playing a natural position for himself, so he doesn't have that instant awareness in terms of defensive. Although he as a defensive midfield, the task is a little bit different, right? But when he goes up, you can see how sometimes he doesn't have that quick instant reaction. Hey, I got to defend too, or this, and you will see these little mistakes too on that left side. But that's also because of how the position that he's playing is not really where he plays.
Right.
I think that plays a little bit in the fact that he does all the mistakes. But another thing I like about him, like you said, he made up for a lot of things, but also you see him defending, you see him backtracking. Different from, that's why the other left back, I don't think he should be coming back. With who's that? Vasquez.
Yeah.
He doesn't backtrack sometimes, and he will be up this counter attack, and this guy's nowhere to be found.
Well, and he's not that old. He's 28, but he lacks that pace.
Yeah,
and he lets crosses get fed in all the time. And watching him, and again, I don't think that he had a bad game. I think that he had an uncharacteristic game. He did turn the ball over several times, trying to put a little bit of dribbling on the ball when he didn't necessarily need to. There was one where he tried a little double step over and literally kicked the ball right to, I think it was Lobotka or Politano, like on that right side. And you're like, why'd you do that? It's like, it's not the end of the world. It's not a major mistake, but it's the fact that you thought in that moment a cheeky bit of skill is what was going to, no, patience, hold on, hold the ball, dictate the pace.
Yeah.
That was your answer. And he just did that a couple of times in here. And it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's one of those where it's like, okay, he is not perfect. He is very versatile. And I think that in a game with lower stakes, he probably wouldn't have made some of those decisions.
Yeah.
I think that he maybe felt like he needed to get the ball moving. Not the end of the world, like I said, but what about that insane late goal from Valverde?
Man,
that was one of the best strikes I've seen this year.
I think he has a cannon in the place of his leg.
And
telling you
that's not the first time I've seen him do that this calendar year. It's the first time this season that he's had that goal. But like he had, I think, 2 or 3 of those last year.
I think in terms of power shot like that, from like this or this season at least, or this kind of new era, I feel like Erling Haaland and him, they have such powerful shot because Haaland, when he shoots it, man. I think that thing it's kind of like a liver punch if it touches. So you don't want that.
Yeah, but as long as he doesn't have his back to goal. So he has his back to goal and he has to turn, he loses all of his power. But if he's got like 4 or 5 steps, it's over.
Osimhen played great, but Rudiger too. Although Rudiger is really inconsistent sometimes, but that game I think Osimhen won more. I'm pretty sure. I haven't looked at the stats yet, but I know he. Looking at the game, just the eye test, he won most of the aerial duels, but on the ground, it was difficult. Rudiger, he shut down anything. Yeah. So
when he had to as well.
Yeah.
He knew that he was kind of the last bit because him and Militao are a great duo. He and Alaba, not that great.
Not that great, yeah.
He and Nacho, kind of untested, don't want to test that in the Champions League.
Yeah.
So he definitely covered those spaces and those gaps.
I think Nacho and Alaba should be playing, together because it's such a mess when they play together. Because nobody's covering for anybody. It's better for Rudiger, but Rudiger too, sometimes he's just inconsistent. So if he keeps this state, or he can be consistent every day, every week in, week out, I think that would be really great. But overall, Napoli they had a great game too. It's just that
they did. Yeah.
It's just that what happened. So
and you see them. I mean, they're obviously going to get out of their group, so it's not. It's not the end of the world on that. And I think that I predicted something along the lines of a 2-1 or a 2-3 kind of a deal.
Yeah.
Someone go back and clip that up. But no, they are definitely the best two of the group. Do you want to run through the other game, or do you want to go through the groups first? What do you want to do?
Let's do PSG and Newcastle. I kind of watched the game too. Interesting fact enough, online a lot of people were like, the Farmers League with Lens Arsenal. They were like, oh, this is the Farmers League beating
I think
the
I
Premier
saw that.
League.
Yeah.
You saw that, and on the flip side, the next day they were like, and I was like, oh, guess what? Newcastle is beating the champions of the Farmers League.
Well, and PSG are not playing that well this season, domestically or like I don't know what their deal is. Well, I do know what their deal is. When you watch them, you figure it out. But Kolo Muani didn't have a great game.
Yeah,
he missed a lot of chances. He was pretty sloppy on the ball. Mbappe was still on the bus, right? Like he never actually walked into the stadium. That's what I saw it as.
Yeah.
Especially with Newcastle having that blew my mind. The stat 27% possession.
Yeah, that's
crazy. That was it. But listen to this though. This is where it gets wild. 27% possession for Newcastle, so 73% PSG, and then shots on goal. Newcastle had 12 shots with 8 on goal, despite only having 27% possession.
That's
and
crazy.
PSG had 11 shots with only 2 on goal. That's absolutely absurd. What were you doing with that 73% of your possession?
Well, I think PSG
just fucking around.
They were not conversion rate trash. Mm-hmm. They were not efficient enough. The passes were way either too late or didn't just go through. But I told you that this last week. I think it was 2 weeks ago or last week, but I wanted to see them getting tested. Just because, and I knew it.
By Newcastle.
Well, I didn't think it was gonna be Newcastle, but
that's the thing. You can't scoff at Newcastle anymore. They're here to stay.
Yeah,
it looks like, and they're whatever.
That's it. But just because when you look at their defense, they commit so high that you wonder if they had a team that would be so quick in transition. They won't make it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how. I didn't think that it was going to be Newcastle that were going to expose PSG, but I knew in the game that if someone was playing off counter-attacks or transitions or just quick, then PSG was going to get caught in fight. And that just proved it. And you can tell, I think there was what goal was that? On the second goal, I think 39 minutes, there were Newcastle set pieces. There was a lot of pressure on that set piece that led to that goal. PSG doing nothing, not clearing anything in the defense. You allow the ball to roam around. That's not what you want to do.
And Donnarumma makes several good saves, but it's just not enough. And I texted you that last night. Actually, I was like, is Donnarumma possibly the best goalkeeper in Europe? Not because and that's the thing about being a good goalkeeper as well. Sometimes, and someone's going to disagree with me, and I know that, and it's fine. Sometimes you can be the best goalkeeper in the world and still concede a shit ton of goals.
Yeah.
Because at a certain point, it's not just you. It's the defense around you. And you're not 8 feet tall. You don't have a 15-foot wingspan.
Yeah.
Like a pterodactyl. You know what I mean? He made so many great saves within the possibility of what he was able to do.
Yeah.
But when your defense is pulled all over the place and you're having to be an acrobat, that's not your fault. Some of those goals were not his fault. And I think that the duo of Marquinhos and Skriniar is not working. Skriniar is not working.
Yeah.
Since coming over from Inter Milan, he is not. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
He has been kind of helpless. He's been all over the place. He might as well not even be there at times.
I think the only player at PSG that for me where it kind of stood out of the whole team was Zaire Emery. Played very well, assisting, good defense on the midfield. But when the team is playing trash, there's nothing he can do. But at least you could see how good he performed.
Do you think that it benefits the team overall to have someone that young in that important of a role? Because I don't think that he played well. Does he need to have someone else in the very middle of the park with more experience? I do feel like something's not clicking in the midfield. And I don't think it's him, but I think that they're giving him a lot of responsibility. He's a little too young for that. I think playing more on the right side and kind of just focusing on getting the ball through the channels, that might be a better thing rather than dictating distribution and pace.
I don't know why they didn't put Vitinha didn't start the game, and I don't know what the hell the coach was trying to do with the formation. Because Mbappe played basically an 8 or 9 or 4-10. I don't know.
He said it would make him happy.
No, but why would you put Mbappe in the middle? Mbappe played in the middle. That's why I don't think he wanted even to play. After I think the third goal, the camera was on him. He was probably like, "Man, I gotta get out of this team. They're not trying to win." Because you put him on the left wing. You put him on the left wing, or at least as a striker, you put him behind Ramos. And you put Colomani on that side, and you put Dembele on the other side. Dembele is a good player. The thing about Dembele, he is never efficient, and PSG just conventional rate. They were joking around. But I want to say this though: do we actually see, or from that game, do we understand how fit Newcastle is? I'll tell you what happened in 90 minutes. They managed to sustain the same pressure every single minute without committing too high, taking away spaces when they needed, marking players when they needed, and setting up a low block when they were supposed to. On transition, it means every time they were quick on transition or just build up, it was always a threat in PSG's box.
And yes, they played very consistent throughout. And I think, fans and viewers seem to not want to give Newcastle the respect. Some people were saying, even though he scored that goal, Longstaff is a shit midfielder, and so that shows how bad PSG are. No. I think that's part of why Newcastle absolutely demolished them.
Yeah.
They didn't choose to take them seriously, and we all know that PSG is one of the most egotistical clubs in the world, probably regardless of sport. Just one of the most arrogant organizations in athletic history. And so they are who is the club that's going to walk into another team's arena and not take them seriously and then get the shit kicked out? Like, that's PSG.
Yeah.
They're the ones that are going to say, oh, well, we are PSG. They are just Newcastle. And like, no, you got fucking demolished. So like, pick your chin up off the floor. You're not even number one in your own league.
Mm-hmm.
So take this club more seriously now. You have to. I think everyone kind of has to now. I was still seeing disrespect during the game for Newcastle, and like,
but
I
does
just
that
don't get it.
With Lens winning, like, does that prove that at least there's some the League One has some sort of level? Because Lens didn't just beat anybody in the Premier League. They beat Arsenal. You want to ask yourself, what was Arsenal's problem? Right? You watch the game. First of all, I think Saka should have been arrested if you wanted him to play in Champions League.
Yeah.
I think over pressure, but everybody's gonna be like, oh, well, they're professional players, they're supposed to play that, But you can't play every single game. You go international, but you play international full 90 minutes. You come back the same after the same week. Mm-hmm. You play the weekend. Then you are expected to play on Tuesday, or what was it? Tuesday.
Saka's been burnt out for a couple of years.
Yeah,
now.
You got to
really, the last 2 seasons especially, just playing every game, domestic and international. It's a lot to ask.
Yeah, I don't understand why they didn't rotate with his position, because Arsenal actually have players that they could rotate and let Saka breathe a little bit. So
yeah, I think that even putting the likes of I don't think that Fabio Vieira works on that right side despite being left-footed.
Mm-hmm.
I do think that Reece Nelson works well though. I think that he's pretty underrated. Overall, and I think that he probably needs some more playing time, especially maybe not in the Champions League, maybe not in the Premier League, but I think that where Saka can get some rest is in the domestic cups.
Man, that Lens first goal was absolutely beauty.
Yeah,
it's just a thing.
Yeah, and that was one that was interesting because it's like you watch that goal, and it's a genuine question: what could Arsenal have actually done? It was a string of 3 perfect passes.
Yeah.
In spaces that, maybe they could have been covered there if they were psychic, but like no one was in a horrible position.
Yeah,
like there was no one person that you're like, oh well, Gabriel was out of position, or oh, Saliba missed a big tackle. Like no, it was an amazing lob, an amazing flick back into space, and an amazing shot to the top corner. Like there's not too much that you could have done with that. No one was doing anything that poorly.
I don't think
it's just a great little run of play.
I don't think Arsenal had a bad game. I just think that
they didn't have a great game though, and that's the thing.
They didn't have a great game, but they didn't also have a bad game.
It could have been almost a similar situation to the Newcastle PSG thing, where not that they thought that Lens was a bad team, but like they got a low shot.
Yeah,
like you look at the group overall, and your first inclination is, if you're an Arsenal fan, you go, okay, not bad. We can do okay with that. And I do think that going into some of those early European games like that can bite you in the ass. And I think that's what happened. Maybe like sometimes you don't take the teams that are on the bottom half of the 32 teams. You don't take them seriously. It's like, no, they're there for a reason. They're there for a reason. And this is why. Because they can get these results when they work hard, and maybe you don't take them as seriously as you should.
Mm-hmm.
Because they're able to pull that out. Because like I said, there was not much that you could do with that first goal.
Yeah.
Besides just watch it happen. And they, like, if you give them more opportunities to make that particular goal again, they probably won't make that. Mm-hmm. They probably won't get that perfect build up again. They just happen to get it, and you happen to let it happen, and that's it.
Well, I think Lens they just played really good football, and every time, and the accuracy on conversion rate was much more higher, so they were more clinical, or at least or efficient in the box. So that, and
their keeper as well, Samba, his name Samba. He made 3 saves on the night where he wasn't even really doing anything. Like there was somewhere where like he just moved his body without really even controlling it, and it was exactly where it needed to be.
Yeah. He
was kind of psychic for a second. It wasn't like laying out for a big ball like Allison he went to ground to be safe and hit, and the ball hit his foot exactly where he happened to put it, and you're like, well, fuck. I mean, that's not. It's not that he's not a skilled keeper, but it's like that was instinct. Like he wasn't even like accurately trying to move where the ball was. He was just trying to do anything that he could, and it paid off for him several times.
And again, right? It just proves that Arsenal still need a 9, a pure 9, right?
Yep.
Because final quality of final ball, absolutely trash. Quality of putting the ball in the box, trash. The reason is you could get away with playing average team where you if you put them under pressure enough with the skill set that you have, they tend to make a lot of errors, create a lot of spaces where you can exploit, capitalize on that, and everybody can get you scoring. But games that the intensity is a little bit higher than sometimes the home games, or just playing those teams that understand a little bit how counter-attack or transition is supposed to be, it becomes harder, because what you fall into is you don't have enough chances, and the chances that you do have in many of these games, you have to convert. Right, and it just proves that Arsenal still need a pure 9, someone that's always at least on 3 assists or 3 balls he received in the box, he's gonna score at least 1 or 2 of those.
Yeah, well, and Jesus on the left wing, it's like, because I wrote this specifically because I've been watching this recently.
Yeah,
he's very good at direct play on counters. He's very good at moving the ball forward. Everybody in the offensive build-up does their job very, very, very well. Maneuvering for the offensive build-up, it's just that final capitalization. It's that finish that it seems like Jesus and Nketiah especially really suffer from, of just getting the ball in the back of the net. But the build-up itself is great. I think that Jesus on that left wing, he has a lot of skill on the ball to get inside. It's just making the final shot that no one seems to have. It is you watch the great build-up and you think, if Jesus was feeding the ball on the left to an Osimhen or even a Tony, that really solves a lot of issues. But then I do think that Jesus is more effective as the false 9. And so then where does he fit into the squad? Because once Martinelli is fit, he's your left wing, he's your number 1 on the left. Trossard comes in as a great super sub, or you flip that depending. I wouldn't mind seeing Trossard start, and then around the 65th minute or so, you bring on a hyper aggressive Martinelli and see how that right fullback has to deal with that, right? And then someone that's a clinical finisher like an Ivan Toney or like a Victor Osimhen. To me, that could really break down a defense.
Okay, 2 questions though. What do you think of Havertz? It seems to me that it's what Arteta is trying to do is it seems that it's somewhat bearing fruit, in the sense that Havertz he wasn't really out of game. He was. You could tell, right? He did a lot of pressing. The only thing that he still is lacking is a little bit of quickness, or another thing is making good decision, or at least he has a lot of bad decision making.
And we've talked about it at length. Sort of riding the defensive line, but never actually attempting to make a run past it. And taking himself out of the play. He did not do that this time. He really did make some forward progress. Right after the start of the second half, he makes a really nice drive and flicks the ball out to Trossard, and it was exactly what kind of happened all night. Trossard has an unlucky shot, opens his hips, but it goes right to the fucking goalkeeper. And so the goalkeeper is either making these saves where he doesn't have much thought process behind it, or great build up just to send the ball right to him. That's exactly what happened. But great move from Havertz on that spot. He did not look that bad.
No, but look at on the flip side though. Do we see that, or during this game, did we see that Arsenal was kind of exposed on the right side, in the sense that right side was a little bit slow, not quick enough, and you can tell by the fact that 48% of Lens chances came through the right side, because is Zinchenko covering too much of an area, and not enough of support from Trossard, Havertz.
Zinchenko actually was on the left side.
Oh,
Tomiyasu was on the right.
Yeah.
But Ben White needed a break. And I think that Tomiyasu is very good. He did not have a great game. Like, you're right, that right side did seem a little bit more exposed. I don't think that Ben White would have allowed that to happen.
Yeah, the right side going to 48%, right side going to Arsenal left side. So that will be still on Zinchenko.
Okay, yeah. I thought you were talking about from their perspective. No, I mean, Zinchenko does do that inverted fullback run where he does trap himself in the midfield, and Jesus was on that left wing as well, who, I mean, he's a good trier in terms of we've had that conversation as well. He tracks back and he works hard. He's not the best defender, but he'll at least use his energy to get in front of the ball.
Yeah.
But sometimes you need someone that makes accurate challenges and puts himself in better positions rather than just kind of running around like a maniac to figure it out.
Zinchenko at Arsenal understands, like, he really does understands the inverted fullback, but the problem with that,
he does it well. He does it well. It's just that it's not always the answer, and I don't think that it's doing them any favors this season.
Well, true. And another thing, they should sort out the way, if he's going up, someone should really cover, because 48% going through that side, it just means that's a little bit too much. It just means that was wide open, and I think that Lance understood that, hey, we got enough space there. Let's freaking drive there. And that's what they did every single time, and it worked.
Do you think that it could help them if maybe Gabriel and Saliba switch and allow Saliba, who has a little bit more pace, who is a bit more safe defensively, so that he can ride a bit further back, and allow Gabriel on that right side? Because I don't know if you're taking Zinchenko out of the play by moving to the midfield, that you want Gabriel having that wider coverage. Would you rather have Gabriel or Saliba covering the more open space? I would pick Saliba personally. Yeah. If you're going to have the inverted fullback make that transition to the midfield.
I'll probably switch Saliba and Magalhaes. What's that his name? It's kind of tough.
Yeah.
So Saliba can play alongside with Zinchenko.
Yeah.
Another thing is, if we attacking, Zinchenko can do, he can definitely move in the middle to overload. Yeah. But in a situation where there's not a complete attack, or it's not predefined or defined yet, I want him not to move in that space, because as soon as he goes there, there's not enough coverage. And considering that Zinchenko is pretty fast, and it's kind of like Marcelo, where he covers a lot of space, right? Yeah. But the difference is that when the opponent team is attacking on that consistently, it's really difficult to backtrack if you don't have help. So I want it's kind of like really not overcommitting, but just choosing when to do it when the occasion is favorable.
And it would be worth having the discussion of, is this inverted fullback thing working if Arsenal were scoring more goals this season than last season, but the truth is that they're not.
Yeah.
They're scoring less than they did, and they're conceding more than they did.
Yeah.
So this whole scheme of trying to, I mean, like, it helps their build up, having Zinchenko in the midfield, but the proof is there. They're not finishing. They're not finishing, and they're leaving themselves to concede more goals.
Yeah.
So I would say sit back a little bit more. The reason that you're riding up on that left side is because Havertz is riding up on the left side, and you're trying to give him coverage. But if he's not going to make convincing runs when he's going up, Havertz, then don't have him do that. Everybody needs to kind of stay where they are. Don't be too clever, because it is not working. They are not, they're not performing poorly, and that's the issue when you have a very good season, is that now your standards is much higher. They're still playing well. They're still a good side. It's like, people want to say that Arsenal is a bad side. No, they're still one of the best sides in Europe. Like, don't get
twisted.
Don't get ridiculous about it. Yeah, but no, like like you know why they're making these transitions for extra coverage, is to make up for certain things. But at the end of the day, if everyone just does their job properly, and certain people are either playing more aggressive or not playing at all, they wouldn't be having these issues.
I want to be positive about how Arteta changing the formation, or a little bit the philosophy of game when they play Lens on the at Wembley. Just because also the atmosphere at Lens was super, super amazing.
Yeah.
And
Well,
that might have played a role. I don't know. But
how long had it been since? I think they said it was like 30 years since Lens was in the Champions League.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean, they're excited.
I think even Newcastle
they
haven't
played
won
well.
a game like that in probably 20 years or 30 in the
yeah.
Champions League. But Man City, Leipzig, I'm not really surprised, but I feel like Leipzig could have done a little bit more. Just because I kind of see how they play and give them a lot of my trust. So
yeah, I mean, and I do think that overall the quality 3-1 doesn't represent how close and convincing Leipzig was.
Yeah,
they did play well. Here's the question: by now we've had enough evidence? Julian Alvarez needs to start as much as Erling Haaland, right?
Yeah.
He's absolutely incredible. He doesn't need to start in that position. I do think that he's finding a position in that attacking midfield very well. He had a bit of a slow start, kind of saying like, okay, is he your backup number 9, or is he this kind of this 10, this fluid 10? He's playing very, very, very well lately in that 10 spot.
Phil Foden, amazing player, and I said it, and
very
I feel
versatile
like
as well.
I feel like him having the freedom to kind of and somewhat dictate how the attack is gonna go.
Yeah,
gives him more responsibility and just makes him a little bit more technically inclined, in the sense that his talent is really flourishing because he doesn't have a KDB.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a KDB to kind of suck up all that intelligent play, and Foden has to do it, especially there in the last third. So I feel like he's been playing super amazing. But what about Haaland? Like I said before, right? Especially a lot of teams are understanding how to play him, and I feel like Haaland at some point will have to adapt or kind of change his football a little bit, in the sense that they're really marking him down as soon as he has the ball to shut down all the space.
Yeah.
With all the new age strikers and wingers, they're really not good box to box. So that's a debate for another day that I really want to talk about, because as soon as you shut down spaces for people that are not technical, especially in this new age, they can't do anything. Look at Haaland. It's difficult. It's difficult. He's kind of non-existent in games.
Well, it doesn't help as well that the player that gave him, what was it, over 60% of his goals,
not
he's not there, and he won't be there until January, is what I was reading. And that's a major hit for them.
But that's just proof that he is. I know he has all these accolades, or he has all this name, but like I always said, Haaland is just not. He's the player you have him with a good passing, either midfielder or a good 8. But overall, City performed very well. I like City. I like the performance. But another thing is, I see Forsberg and Schlager getting out of Leipzig next year. I feel like they're gonna buy them because they play very well.
They did play very well.
Yeah. So
Openda comes out of nowhere.
Openda,
what the hell, man? He's good.
Pretty good. Yeah, he's pretty good. You know what will happen at City? I feel like Doku is gonna win that wing. Yeah. Because every time he is in, he makes such a difference. And I remember Pep saying 2-3 weeks ago that he was like, "That's a winger. That's a natural winger." Because he has that. And I think that Grealish kind of don't have. He's like extra technical. He can carry the ball in the box. He can make plays, dribble, go and just attack the box consistently. And with wingers like that, you have no, as the opponent team, what you can do is just pray he doesn't have a good day.
Yeah. What about how versatile Rico Lewis is?
Oh,
he looked really good. It's like he's kind of like obviously different position and skill set, but like Camavinga, where it's like I can see this kid playing in almost any midfield position, performing any task in the midfield and doing very well with it.
But I feel like that's true. But I feel like it would be really amazing for just his talent to blossom, to just get to the full, capacity, because he played very well just as an 8 man. This guy was amazing with that assist.
And really fast about Haaland as well. He didn't get a lot of opportunities, at least ones that were convincing. But to be fair, though,
they're not playing for him.
I'm sitting there watching how good Leipzig's press was in the second half, and they were closing down every single passing lane. Like, the only option that you had for most cases was to just rifle straight at the defender and hope that either it ricochets off, like the idea of getting around or finding space to distribute the ball in those lanes. It just simply wasn't there. I watched everything shut down and anywhere inside the outside of the box.
For them, I think individuality played a role in that game, in the sense that people had to resort in individual skills, because as much as we want to be neutral, but on individual skills, this City is a tad bit above Leipzig, and I think that's what made the difference, because Leipzig had a great game. They had a good game. So
well, and I was laughing because my wife is a Manchester City fan, and it's annoying.
She's a City fan?
Yeah, she is.
That's the biggest bandwagon.
You said that 3 times. You're always so surprised when I say that.
The reason why I'm surprised is because all City fans are the most. You know what's crazy? As much as I'm a bandwagon guy, I'm not.
You'd never be a City fan.
No, not that. I'm not the bandwagon guy of the new age football. It's like a new age football team, right? It's like, oh, PSG. Well, PSG is PSG now, but in terms of history or football history, they have no football history.
No, they don't.
PSG is really born in 2010 or 12 when the Qatari took the team. Same thing for City.
You're two big squads. You like Madrid and you like Milan, and I get that.
Yeah, the reason because these are really established. Even teams like Porto, I like them better. So Ajax, same thing. Arsenal, same thing. United,
Classic,
same
like
thing.
1920s and 30s.
Yeah,
that's old
and
school.
City fans they were just born yesterday.
They were.
So bandwagon guys.
To be fair though, when she decided that was her team, it was not based on the performance.
Oh, for him.
Yeah, she liked their badge. So she's like, I like that. That's kind of cool. And then she realized, like, oh shit, this is like, they're gonna win like 7 years.
And their fans are really annoying, and they think City is the. I don't curse, but they think City is the crap.
Well, speaking of crap, I'm kidding. He's not that bad, but he's an obvious weak link in a very solid team.
Whoa.
Manuel Akanji.
Akanji.
He is so he is very big, but he is not physical. Openda basically put Akanji on his lap and said, "It's okay, son, come here." And because he just walked right past him for that first goal.
But does that show that instead, look at this way, right? The same thing as Lens and Arsenal. People might be try to give excuses to why Arsenal lose, but look at this way. Does that mean Lens was that good, or does that mean that Openda is that good?
Oh no, and Openda is that good, but you go back and rewatch that goal. It was in like the 48th minute, I think, where it's for like 10 to 12 yards. Akanji and Openda are pressed up right against each other, and Openda, much smaller, is shouldering him and getting up underneath him, and like Akanji's just like walking straight, and it's like, you don't have to drag him down and get a red card. We're not suggesting that, 'cause that's irresponsible, but you could have given him some sort of physicality to get him off the ball. He does not have to go to the ground with the force that you give him, but shoulder to shoulder, like that's what I'm saying. He had plenty of space and ability for a shoulder to shoulder to muscle him off the ball, because it wasn't that Openda was blazing past him and all he could do was stick a leg out or grab his jersey. They were running at pace with each other long enough to where there was some sort of physicality that does not result in a foul that Akanji had 5 to 6 seconds to react to. And in a game based on small, like very bullet point reactions, 5 to 7 seconds is in life. It's an entire lifetime. He should have been able to do something to get Openda off the ball. And I don't know, that was very surprising to me. But speaking of also beating the shit out of a player, Simikan, the right fullback for Leipzig, I love him. I'm gonna start watching them every week because he was so fun to watch. He beat the absolute shit out of Jack Grealish all
No,
night until he got subbed off. He was
yeah.
always on the ground. Simikan is kind of deceptively big. He's very long-limbed, and he was just throwing Grealish all
was,
over the floor. I was laughing
He
watching it. It was so
a
funny
really
to me.
nuisance to him. He hunt him down
He did-
every single time. It's
Always on the floor, and he's just like standing over him, just
You
like,
know?
what's the deal? Like, and then like like fighting about it with the ref of like, that's not my fault that he went to ground. He always goes to ground.
Yeah.
But you're like Grealish
Yeah.
is like on the ground. He looks like a 5-year-old at Disney World that's getting in trouble. He's just like, what did I do?
Yeah,
I don't understand.
he was the pure
amazing.
definition of man to man.
Yeah.
You know.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, I remember back in the days when I used to play a little bit at the academy. We had this one coach. He was like, if he goes left, you go left. If he go right, you go right. If he goes to shower, you shower with him.
Shower with him. Yeah. No, and he did. He wore Grealish like a
Yeah,
jacket. It was
so-
amazing. And he even held with Doku well.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
true.
Jimmy Doku's obviously the better
That's why I
physical
said.
threat, but even still, I was watching because like when I saw Grealish come off and him come on, I was like, okay, Simikan, let's see what happens. And he held his own still very well. You can tell that Doku was more likely to. I mean, and he ends up scoring a goal late, obviously.
Yeah.
But you looked at the matchup and said, I would not be surprised if Doku scores and Grealish does not in this
Yeah.
matchup. But also, Simikan was doing very well with Doku.
Yeah. So apart from that, that's really what I
Yeah.
watched. The rest was more of the scores, and I think
Let's go to these
Paris
groups.
was,
Let's go to these groups and talk about the 0-2 Manchester United. We're not getting into the matchups, but like Group A,
yeah.
is Manchester United getting out of this group or not? What do you think?
Man, that's a great question. United, I don't understand the deal, but I pretty much understand the deal. So, I think they have a chance depending on how things really plays out for them, but it's a tough one.
I think they'll figure it out. I think they'll still lose to Bayern in the final matchup of the group. I think that they'll take care of Copenhagen. But it sounds weird to say that they'll beat Galatasaray away, but not at home. I think that was a big wake up call.
Yeah.
And I think that
they have had too many wake up calls.
Yeah, well, and that was like the one, like losing to, and again, it's not a knock. I mean, Galatasaray is like the Real Madrid of the Turkish league,
Yeah.
right? I mean, like it is what it is. They're always in this group stage, like it's not like
Galatasaray, they've always been there. Sometimes they will perform well, sometimes, especially when you had like back in the days, you had Eboué over there and all this. So
you got Big Willie Zaha over there,
so
scoring against his old club. I do love to see that. But no, I mean, like I can see them pulling something out and really getting into the. If anything, if they drop down to Europa, I don't. But like, they're not getting far out of the group stage. I'm not saying that. It'll take a very impressive amount to get them to the round of 16. I could see them dropping down to Europa League, but then also, I don't like how they compare with the squads in the Europa League either. They're just not performing at that level.
Yeah.
I don't see anything for that. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if they go to the Champions League. But now that I'm really looking at it, I could see them getting 2 solid wins over Copenhagen and getting that 3rd spot and dropping down. But Galatasaray moves on and doesn't move past the round of 16. That's just the way it is. But in Bayern Munich, they're not playing the best they can and should be playing.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, that's the supremely high standards that they set for themselves. We're sitting there critiquing a team that's by all definitions playing well, but not well enough for Bayern Munich.
Yeah, that's definitely the standards are just so high to be playing like that.
Yeah.
I know they can do better.
Take Group B.
Lay
it on me.
Group B. Who the hell is in Group B? Let's look at
Lens, Arsenal, Sevilla, and PSV Eindhoven.
Well, the one thing that's for sure, Lens, it's a tricky one actually. 1 draw, 1 win. Is Lens gonna be the one of the underdogs? I really want to know which person or which team is gonna be the ultimate underdog.
There's always
Ajax of 2018,
exactly.
the Dortmund of 2014,
and even in Atalanta. in 2018.
In 2018, as well. I want to go for. Last time, what did I go for? I think last time I said Leipzig, but I think Leipzig, Newcastle. I want to say Newcastle, but I don't want to do recency bias, so I'm gonna stick with Leipzig. But Lens will definitely get out of this group. It feels weird because I feel like Sevilla wants to go back to Europe and win. So
hey,
I can see the
trophy's
techniques.
a trophy. Don't care. I mean, like
I can see their techniques from a mile away. So I think that's what they want to go. They want to do. PSV Eindhoven, there's no way.
I don't see it. No.
There's no way to get out of that group. Arsenal would definitely get out. This is just just a little wake up call. They're gonna fix things. When they come back, they're gonna be more powerful than ever, and they're gonna be beating teams as much as possible.
Yep, I can see the table being the table of the group being the same, except flipping Arsenal in Lens. I think that Arsenal will end up taking the first place.
Yeah.
Lens will take second. Sevilla will go down to Europa League and win it.
Yeah, I'm winning.
What they do.
And
Eindhoven's glad to be there.
Yeah,
and that's fine. Group C. Pretty straightforward. I'm pretty much seeing it shaking down like it is now. Real Madrid will take it. That win against Napoli was massive, considering that. I mean, and we just talked about it. It was a competitive game. It was more competitive than you expected, especially with a threadbare defense of Napoli. Romani was out, Jesus was out, and they're still recovering from not having Kim Min-jae.
Yeah.
So to see a 2-3 defeat against Real Madrid, not a bad look there. Let's move to Group D, which is interesting. Inter will obviously finish at top. You would agree with that, I imagine.
Definitely see that. Yep.
Sociedad will probably drop to second, but still get through. Salzburg, I'm surprised to see 2 losses and no wins from Benfica. Pretty big club overall to see that happen to.
What's up with that?
One of the 2 big Portuguese. Well, I mean, that's the thing, man. The 2 big Portuguese, the Real Madrid and Barcelona of Portugal, they're so hit and miss in seasons. You'll see them go deep to a quarterfinal or a semifinal, or you'll see them bounce out at the group stage. Just very inconsistent overall. It's very strange to see that.
Group E. Lazio, Atletico Madrid, Feyenoord, Celtic.
Celtic's gone bye-bye.
Celtic used to pull up upsets sometimes.
Yeah.
This is back in the day. And that was one of my favorite team in 2011.
Yeah.
And, but Atletico Madrid, of course, they're going to get out. Let's go. Lazio, same thing. Same thing.
You think Feyenoord won't upset them at all?
I can see Feyenoord upsetting. Ooh.
I could see Feyenoord wanting to go down to Europa and doing very well there, though.
Yeah, definitely. They will.
Ooh, it'd be interesting if they matched up with Liverpool in the Europa in the knockout stages. That'd be interesting to see. Group F, the crazy one. Look at this. Points 4, 3, 2, 1. I kind of see it shaking down that exact way. Dortmund are not interested. It seems like they're not, and they are really bland to watch. They're kind of lifeless.
Yeah.
Milan, their forward situation is still not figured out.
Yeah.
They have not. Rafael Leao is still working very hard, but not getting anything done. Giroud is going to wait until the 90th minute of a big game to show up.
Yeah.
And Christian Pulisic's not quite figuring it out.
Don't get it twisted though. PSG is getting out of the group.
I see it finishing. I think that Newcastle could finish on top though, especially after that absolute trounce.
You know what? I would want to see. They played Dortmund last time, right? No, AC Milan.
Yeah.
I want to see them play Dortmund.
Ugh.
But you know what? It's interesting because I would say this. I don't think Newcastle is gonna finish first in that group. I can see them finishing second, probably even third, because they had one draw, one win against PSG.
Yeah.
There's no way they're gonna win the next game against PSG.
I can see it. Okay, I'll just pull this out really quick. I see a 2-2 draw.
Okay.
Newcastle PSG in Paris.
Yeah, but
Newcastle
is gonna PSG is gonna beat the hell out of Newcastle in Paris.
I don't think they will. I think that they'll get a draw.
That's gonna be difficult though, because
Mbappe will be happier
because PSG knows what they're dealing with now, right? Yeah. They're not gonna be like, oh, this is a small team. They're gonna go crazy, and I don't know how they will do on the AC Milan, because you gotta get in mind, right? AC Milan, Dortmund, these teams have played the Champions League.
Yeah,
this is a different thing, After this first leg, they kind of understand. Hey, we gotta focus, put ourselves in the game. So that's why I'm saying this is just 2 games in. We don't know yet. AC Milan had 2 draws, so I can see them coming back on top. And this is what I would say: either PSG, AC Milan, or PSG, Newcastle. That would be it.
Yeah.
I don't see Dortmund going anywhere.
I think PSG is going to have a surprise for us where, and this might be the X-Files talking in me. Are you familiar with the Body Farm at the University of Tennessee?
No.
So they have a forensics program. They're like the national leader in forensic science. And they've got like hundreds and hundreds of dead bodies under under the football field where they practice and they study them and whatnot. I imagine something similar going on underneath the Parc des Princes, where they're trying to clone Mbappe. I imagine they've got like 40 Mbappe clones down there, like in jumpsuits, being fed like prison food and stuff. And they're waiting to introduce when they can have an all Mbappe 11 person side. That's what I'm expecting.
Because I guarantee you, on the next game, oh man, it's gonna be different.
Yeah, I mean he should be much happier.
Yeah, and you don't want the happy Mbappe.
Happy Mbappe.
Happy Mbappe is different.
Happy Mbappe.
Different. That's what Group H.
No, Group G.
Oh, Group G. I jumped the gun.
G before H. City, Leipzig. Yeah, I pretty much see it shaking down that way.
Yeah.
City's gonna take that. Leipzig is a very safe number 2. I don't see Leipzig dropping any points to anyone but City, honestly. And same thing for City.
I see Leipzig as the wild card. So that's how I see them. They might be that upsetting team.
Yeah. Well, because you were talking about like who's going to be the team that like surprises and goes far, or far for what's expected from them. I could see Leipzig being that one. I could see them getting to a quarterfinal.
Yeah, because they play good football, and I know a lot of teams will be so confused when they play them, especially that they have played City now. They probably kind of understand how it goes on. So even we playing City might be a battle. So, Barcelona, Porto, Shakhtar Donetsk, Royal Antwerp. These are just point givers. They're just here for the sake of participation.
Yep.
So Porto and Barcelona are gonna make it so easy, whatever.
Straightforward. Yeah, I agree.
It's interesting that Barcelona just beat Porto 1-0.
Yeah.
So,
do you think that Porto will drop any points at all? I could see them getting a draw, an unfortunate draw with Shakhtar.
Yeah,
because Shakhtar's not a bad side either, man.
I didn't watch that game, right? But how did Barcelona score? Was it the head or was it the leg?
Ooh.
Because I'm thinking, and probably this might be left for the next 2-3 games when we watch Barcelona.
I watched the highlights. I didn't take notes on them.
I think they scored a penalty.
Yeah.
So
and Gavi got sent off.
Yeah. So I wanted to say, you see how they get in their goals. It's still not assertive. It's still not confidence enough.
Lewandowski's either missing a lot of opportunities or he's not in good positions.
They don't walk into games and be like, yeah, I'm gonna demolish these guys. No, they don't do that. Yeah. So there's always that wiggle room of uncertainty. So so I feel like they need to fix a lot of stuff still. So. Yeah, I think that was it. Is there another group? No.
That is all.
Yeah.
And then what were the big matchups? Let me double check. Yeah. So the next matchups, there are 3 that are interesting that we'll probably go over. We won't watch all 3 matches in full, but we will be talking about some highlight packages. But I definitely see your Newcastle Dortmund, PSG and AC Milan. That's an interesting one as well. And then a real test will be Sevilla and Arsenal.
Yeah, I want to see how PSG fixes the defensive problem. But yeah,
it starts by getting Skriniar out of that squad. Straight up, I mean, like, look, man, it's really unfortunate when you sign someone for a multi-year deal, and he's not like a crazy contract or anything, because he is like 29 or 30.
Yeah.
But it's like I don't see any improvement that's going to happen in that situation. He's just positionally out of whack. I don't know if he's just very used to a more mobile player like Bastoni that he's not sure what he has to do. But like Marquinhos and Skriniar are not working together so far. It doesn't seem like anyone on the side's really interested in making big changes.
Mm-hmm.
They're kind of just in that headspace of like, well, we're PSG, so we're gonna do this and that. And it's like, well, it's not working. Like, you got to kind of go back to basics. Where is Vitinha? Is Zaire Emery the best answer for the absolute middle of the park? Is he your central number 8 that's going to dictate everything? I don't know about that. I don't know about that at all. And Marquinhos is getting a bit cocky. He's kind of getting a Virgil van Dijk syndrome, not where he's a step slower and not realizing it, but I think that maybe he thinks that he's a bit more athletic than he is now, and he's really just putting himself in some bad situations.
And don't be playing Mbappe also behind anybody.
Yeah.
Either no, you watch the game, and I feel like for players like that, I don't know, when they don't play, especially a position that they love to play, or at least kind of would like to play, they don't even perform. How
I'm
you
happy, Mbappe.
Yeah, but actually, you made him sad. I like when Mbappe is sad by himself, where he has this little tantrums he throws.
I love it. Yeah,
how do you play Mbappe behind someone, and you don't even play him on the wing or even as a striker? You play him behind.
Yeah.
That just doesn't make sense to me.
I agree. That was a very confusing thing.
Yeah. This show was really a good one.
It was longer too. I wasn't expecting it to be as long.
Yeah,
I was expecting
trying to keep track of that. I was like, oh shoot.
We're trying and then like quick production meeting. People just deal with this really fast. We're trying to keep these at 40 to 45 minutes. This one we're in an hour. That's not really our fault. There's just so much good news.
Yeah,
good stuff.
So for everyone listening, I urge you to subscribe and drop comment, and I think turn on your notification bell. You also can go on our Spotify and get it. And we also have all our socials. I think will be on the each episode in our description.
Yes, sir. We've got the Twitter. We've got the TikTok.
Yeah.
And I swear to God,
we got a talk tick.
Yep. I'm not even going to talk about it anymore.
What?
Because seeing is believing, and I want to be a believer. I want to believe.
Yeah.
The Spotify review. So okay. So I gotta. Okay. The Spotify reviews really. I can't stress the importance enough.
Yeah.
And I don't want to lead into anger. It doesn't feed. I don't want to feed that.
Yeah.
So I'm going to be very, very, very nice about this and be very polite about this, people. For now, once we start getting to December, I might try to sack somebody over here. But listen to me. The Spotify reviews are very important. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah. See you next time. Bye.
Bye.